A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school, sometimes I go meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job too. I wash the salts, peppers, and fill the ketchups. One time, I peeled all the onions for the onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me. And every time, I put half of my money into the jar. It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mom comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mom empties all of her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all of the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mom is laughing so hard when she comes home. Sometimes she is so tired she falls asleep while we count the money. Some days she has lots of tips. Some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually, Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. Often, she has money in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts back the savings and they go into the jar. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we're going to take out all of the money and go buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over. We are going to get the best chair in the whole wide world. This is because our chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All of our chairs burned. So did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals and she had new pumps. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked red tulips and I was saying I liked yellow. Then we came to our block. Right outside our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots and lots of smoke. Tall orange flames came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, "She's here! She's here! She's okay! Don't worry!" Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her. But everything else in our whole house was spoiled. What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sisters, Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow. The floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very, very empty. The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza and cake and ice cream. They brought a lot of other things too. My family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us his beautiful rug. My mother's other sister, Sally, had us red and white curtains. Mama's boss, Josephine, bought pots and pans, silverware and dishes, and my cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You are all the kindest people," she said, "and we think of you very, very, very much. It's lucky we're young and can start all over again." That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt. "There's no good place for me to take a load off my feet," she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut potatoes, she has to get as comfortable as she can on a hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins started to go into there. Now the jar is too heavy for me to even lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full, Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for the nickels and the dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them up. On Mother's Day was off, we took all the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills. Then we took it to the bus downtown to shop for our chair. We shopped through our 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and smaller ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and hard ones. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks and the 3 bears trying out all these chairs. Finally, we found the chair we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but they let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks to people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from work. And after supper, I sit with her and she can reach right up, turn out the light, and I fall asleep right in her lap. The end.